Don't you want it? 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 You lose your little mind. 5, 10 lives.
Welcome to the Deadlights podcast. I'm your host, Sam Johnston.
And I am Leslie, bringing you your weekly dose of horror.
Yeah.
And today we have Tim.
It's Tim.
Hi, Tim Ashby.
Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
You've been with us doing this thing before.
Yes, I have.
Not on this podcast.
Not on
but
this podcast.
In the 31 Days of Horror, you were with us a couple times.
Mhm.
Yes.
Twice.
Yeah, we saw a good couple movies with you, and now you're back for this one. So
Yes, I am.
excited
Yes.
to have you here. And you had seen this movie already
Yes,
before, too.
I
So
have, yeah.
that's kind of cool. We have seen this movie. You hadn't seen it before.
Yeah,
First time.
movie.
First time. I
Yes.
like that when we got a mix of both.
Mhm.
And, well, what did we just watch?
We watched Hush.
Hush.
From 2016, written by Mike Flanagan and directed by Mike Flanagan.
Mhm.
A deaf-mute writer who retreated into the woods to live a solitary life must fight for her life in silence when a masked killer appears at her window.
Bum, bum, bum.
Ah!
Yeah, pretty creepy. I mean,
Yeah.
this, I'm trying to remember the movies that we've watched on the podcast before, but this one, at least in my mind, sticks out as like, we got no magic going on here, we got no supernatural shit, no monsters,
Mhm.
but the monster in this movie is a human
A
being.
person.
Mhm.
A real person, which is a whole nother level of terror.
Yes.
I feel like now, I mean, I guess this is the difference between psychological thrillers and horror is the fact that, like, psychological films will dwell in more fictional stuff as opposed to horror tends to gravitate towards monsters and such that
Mm.
don't exist.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Yeti's real. Anyways.
That's for a different.
That's a different.
That's a different podcast.
That's on
I
my
don't know, let's-
Sasquatch
Podcast
podcast.
pod.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I think that this one definitely plays on the psychological horror and the scares. It's all the killer's motivations are just to be a sadistic, crazed asshole.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what he's trying to torture her this whole
Mhm.
time, and us too.
Mhm.
And we're in her shoes. So
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like when I mean, this is kind of skipping ahead, but whenever he has the glass and the knife on the glass, and then you hear that,
mhm.
and like she can't hear it, but
We
still it just like gets you
can.
uneasy. And
I mean,
like,
in general, the sounds it's this interesting juxtaposition that the movie has where she is deaf and mute,
Mhm.
but the sounds and sound effects of this movie are so loud and so in your face, and so everything has a sound effect attached to it. It's all so amplified to us, and they play a lot into sounds and lack of sound too.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the strongest points of this movie is their sound design. And it has to be, I think, when you have this setup
Yeah.
of this, it's a simple story, really.
Yep.
It's a very simple,
Cat and mouse type of.
that's right. It's
Game.
for the most part, 2 people. There's
Mhm.
2 other physical actors that we see. We see another one on FaceTime.
Mhm.
That's it. So the whole thing, 5 actors,
Yeah.
and 1 location.
Yep.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
I think is great.
Mhm.
So easy.
So
It's
easy.
very economical
Mhm.
film, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also, I want to just do a little shout out to the the person that hired the cat. That was a beautiful cat.
Great cat.
Very, very cute.
Very cute.
Yes.
The cat's name was Bitch.
Bitch.
Yep, bitch.
Love bitch.
Love Bitch.
Love bitch.
Star.
Star
All right.
of the show.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
From the top.
Make it drop. That's some wet ass bitch.
That's some wet ass bitch. And we kind of start off with an immediate jump scare.
Mhm.
Because
What
the
do you
whole-
mean? I didn't.
Boom.
I didn't jump.
Well, you were asking like, wait, is the volume down? Like, did we turn it on? We're like, oh yeah, okay. And then boom, it says hush.
Hush.
Yes.
Which another point of irony, I think, of this movie is the title is Hush, which is about being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But when we see it, it's a boom,
Yeah.
very deep bass in your face.
It really
sound.
sets up the movie within
Yes.
a second.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice.
I think that this whole first shot does a really good job of setting it up because we get this like we're in for some intense sounds, but also we're in the middle of the deep woods.
Yeah.
Everything like there's no city in sight. There's not even another house in sight.
Right.
We're deep into the woods, and the camera literally comes down and goes deeper into the woods.
It's zooming in pretty fast, but it still takes a while. So it really highlights the fact that it's a very, very isolated.
It's secluded.
Cabin. Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly. I put jump scare intro, secluded cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fuck. We're
Yeah.
fucked.
Because we know we're watching a horror movie. We're immediately like, fuck.
And in a world where, it really doesn't matter whether you're deaf or mute, in a scary movie, in a scary situation, that's difficult.
Even if she could hear her talk, we're still dreading the location.
I will say, though, one of my questions that I had, and one question that I asked when I saw it the first time, and I wanted to try and answer it this time, was, okay, I get that she's a writer. She wants to, like, keep focused on her work and stuff. But you can live all by yourself way out there when you're deaf and mute?
Yeah.
That seems a little problematic to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that kind of goes back to the motivations of her, too. I mean, it seems like they don't go into it too much, but I get the feeling that she just got out of a relationship with Craig. And
back in the city, probably.
Back in the city.
Fair.
And so she probably wants to just disassociate with everything that could remind her of Craig. Sure. I mean, she's obviously still struggling with it too. With this, it was probably a hard break. So I can find the motivation in that she just wants to get away.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long she has been in this cabin.
Also, like, where exactly we are.
Yeah.
She might have looked it up because of, these added barriers that she was just like, maybe this is like the safest secluded space that I can go to in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, and to her, she's not thinking about a killer stalking.
No, of course not. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, practically, like, for her to get stuff done and, like, get around. I mean, she's not helpless, but obviously, as this movie shows. But I also think she's also been there for long enough to have a relationship with the neighbors, and that for Sarah to be like, hey, I've been learning sign language. I've been taking a class, and this is what I've picked up so far.
Yes.
So it has been long enough that
And she's written an entire book.
And there's
until the end.
Yeah.
So and that's where we come to her in the story. And by the way, the main character's name is Maddie. That's who we're talking about.
Maddie.
And we're introduced to her in this, like, again, heavy in-your-face sound effects of her cooking. Everything has a sound.
Everything is so tight, too.
Close-ups, and every boil, every sizzle, you hear every open has a noise. And then the first time that we actually see her face, it fades into silence. And then we go back to all those close-ups, but with nothing.
Nothing.
And it really does, I think, a nice job of showing you how sound changes what you're looking at. You know, like, we saw those shots with the sound, and now we're seeing them without, and it really does change how those shots feel. We get Sarah next door. It's in her contacts. SND, as I kept writing down. Texts her and says, can I stop by? And so then we meet Sarah for the first time, and, like, she's walking from a while away. So that kind of establishes her house is, like, down at least a long driveway, and probably
maybe like half a mile away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, even though they're next door neighbors, it
took her a second.
That's the closest house? Oh, shit. Okay, you're really isolated.
And we definitely are establishing that an important tool for Maddie is her computer and her phone.
Yes.
I mean, because she's deaf and mute, to do a lot of communication, she needs her computer and her phone.
Through FaceTime
and also
FaceTime.
and she's always on her laptop anyway because she's writing.
Yes.
So
It's very important and is a central point for her.
Mhm.
And so, but then we meet Sarah for the first time, and we kind of do get the sense that they've known each other for a while.
months at least.
Months, yeah, since Maddie's been there writing her book at least. And I mean, Sarah's really sweet.
Super sweet.
Like
Yeah.
she's trying to learn sign language. She like
Mhm.
fucks up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she says like kiss instead of
Instead of
storyteller
storyteller, yeah.
at some point. But she's going over there every day, I think, to get signing lessons.
Mhm.
And she also establishes that her boyfriend, John, is at work or something. Don't really hear much about him, but they kind of talk about him.
Mhm.
And then though, this is when she burns all the food, and we
Right.
get that super loud,
Mhm.
intensely bright
Strobe light.
Yeah, if you suffer from seizures,
Yeah, be careful
Yeah,
on
watch
that
out.
one. Yeah.
and then the other scenes, there's a fire alarm, really like
It's-
strobe lights.
Yeah.
Well, and she says it's so intense that she can feel the vibrations even in her sleep
Right.
to wake her up if there's a fire.
Yep.
And again, we're doing a nice job of kind of establishing tools that are going to come back
Mhm.
Yes.
later.
I really like
a lot of different things. Like
Yeah.
we also see her shaking the cat's food
Mhm.
early on. We know what that means.
And it shows like that the entire we saw the outside of the house before, but now we know the landscape of all of the house.
Mhm.
So when she's going from room to room looking for the cat, you know where she is in relation to this place and this and this.
You can
and
draw
upstairs.
a map. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
pretty. Yeah, they do a very good job of establishing the space. She goes upstairs. We know that there's an upstairs,
Mhm.
An attic.
an attic. There's like her bedroom and the kitchen and the living room are right next to each other. Yeah, I feel like I can picture the entire house.
Exactly.
That's a nice front door too.
Yeah, it's
That
just
is
a
a
whole
nice-
nice house.
yeah.
I think.
I mean, yeah.
Another thing about the house is it is almost entirely surrounded in windows.
Yeah.
Very much.
Mm.
And when the killer comes in, there's a lot of moments of feeling like she is an animal trapped
Mhm.
inside this place and
In a cage.
like just tapping like a fishbowl. It feels like a fishbowl that she's trapped in.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful house, but it's not a good place to be in a
No.
horror movie. at
Yeah,
all.
No, I love windows, but my goodness, I didn't want any windows
Yeah.
in that house.
I mean, I thought it was a perfect house for them to shoot over. It made
Mhm.
things horrifying.
Oh yeah.
They found a great house
Yeah.
and a great location.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a pretty good sense of this house and the things that she uses. I wrote down working in the big chair.
Yeah.
Because she sits in this big chair a lot of the time in the
Mhm.
movie when she's writing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like working on her book and she's
Mhm.
clearly struggling.
She's trying to pick which ending to go with. She has like 7 endings that she keeps cycling through, and then like a voice in her head, which was established with Sarah, was saying like, "No, you can't have this. No, this," or like da da da.
Going
that
through
doesn't work.
scenarios and like the
Yeah.
outcomes.
She had in the conversations with Sarah, she calls it writer's brain.
Writer's brain.
And it's like she explains it as seeing every single possibility that could be the outcome of this story.
Mhm.
And she just has to like organize which one is the best, essentially. She's got like this crazy, almost over planny kind of brain.
Mhm.
Like she's like, it seems like it can't stop. It's always running. And she's struggling with it right now. She's
Mhm.
trying to figure out what, like, voices in her head, they're all jumbled. She can't figure it out.
And sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
she also said, talking to Sarah, that it's her mom's voice. So I felt like there was some like critic in her in her head that's her mom's voice, and it's like constantly saying
Helping
like
her, yeah.
it's like helping her, but it's also not, and it's like, no, that's not gonna work. Okay, like I just can't make one decision. I have to have 7, and I have to keep playing with it and attaching it. So
And then, boom, like, against the window,
Yeah.
Sarah next door comes up and is banging on her window next to her kitchen, but Maddie
can't hear it.
Yeah. She's just like, she's all bloodied up, and
Mhm.
then she's just screaming for help.
And then all of a sudden you see a crossbow arrow like come into her out
Oh.
of nowhere.
Yeah, in her shoulder.
Her shoulder, yeah.
Yikes.
And then you see
We see our guy.
the guy, and
The
he's
guy.
just wearing this creepy ass white mask.
just
Yeah.
blank.
Just blank.
So blank.
Uh-huh.
And just talk about him for a second.
John Gallagher Jr.
John Gallagher Jr.
Yeah.
What else
actor.
has he been in?
He's done a lot of plays more than anything, but he
Oh,
was in
okay.
the Newsroom show on HBO.
Oh, okay. Oh,
and
yes.
he normally plays really sweet, like nerdy guys.
Yeah.
That was not the case in this one.
No, he was so sweet. What are you talking about?
Sweet in his own way.
I feel bad for Adam now.
But I gotta say, his performance is really, really good because he has this like just casualness about him the entire movie. Like, I mean, we know it's established later that he's done this many times.
Yes.
And at this point, he's just like in his groove. He's just like, this is his comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
He never, unless he's chasing someone, runs. Doesn't seem like he's doing things very urgently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's taking his time. He's enjoying it.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
loves
yeah.
it.
He's a hunter. You have to hunt like, you're like a cat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like
He's
your prey,
confident.
but I was like, no.
Yeah, no, he has some confidence about him that's like terrifying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really scary.
Well, and there's the point whenever I mean, maybe I'm skipping ahead, I'm sorry, but there's a point when she tries to, like, warn him to back off because, like, I didn't see your face, just please go, like, my boyfriend's gonna come home soon. And so then he taunts her, takes off his mask, and, like, you see, like, a neck tattoo, and you see him, but there's really no difference between his face and that mask. It's just blank.
Yeah.
Like, there's no feeling behind his eyes. There's not a shred of warmth or kindness at all. And it's just blank.
Just the like need to kill.
Just to, like, fuck with her.
Mm-hmm. He
the
loves
entire
it.
time. Yeah.
He loves it.
He kind of looked like he could also be like drooling and just kind of like
Yeah.
just very like in that what's that? I'm gonna pronounce it really bad. Catatonic? Nope, never mind.
Catatonic?
Catatonic.
Mm.
There you go. Catatonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
catatonic.
yeah, because he's like in his
He was
groove.
in an earthquake, the tectonic plate.
Oh my god! He's about to start an earthquake right now,
True.
and it really is. I mean, that first scene when we see Sarah from next door die is
Yeah.
long. It's like
It's
he
drawn out.
stabs her a lot, like, and then he keeps stabbing her.
But then
A lot,
it's
a
like
lot, a
it
lot.
seems like he's also like, how is she not hearing this? Really? And he's like trying to see what his limits are with her, and he's like stabbing her, and he's like, really, you don't
he's
see
feeding.
hear any
He's
of this?
feeding off of the fear of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's getting
So-
off on like feeling this girl literally die in his arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think you're right. He's like, why isn't she scared right now? Why can't, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then he has a moment where he's like tapping. That's where I thought of the like fishbowl.
Mhm.
Like he's just tapping on
Mm.
her glass, and he starts to realize, oh shit,
It's like, this could be fun.
Yeah,
This is new.
Mhm.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
This could be a fun mouse to hunt.
Because maybe, and this is speculation, but maybe like he originally liked to kill people in front of people, see them get freaked out, and then kill them too.
Mhm.
But then when she wasn't reacting, he was like, oh, I could totally mess with her this entire
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is cool.
I could draw this out.
This is a new
Yeah, yeah.
strategy. Like I'm gonna, like he's like also doing the little voice in his head of like this are
Mhm.
the many times or many ways that I can kill her.
Ooh, I'm thinking of all the fucked up shit I can do.
La 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 la,
And,
crazy.
I think this beginning portion, I love how they build, because we know now that there's a killer outside, but she
Mhm.
doesn't know. Maddie doesn't know.
No.
I love how they reveal it to her, because it starts off very simple, where she still doesn't know. She goes back to working on her computer.
Mhm.
She's still struggling with getting this ending done, and
She's like having fun with it. Well, like
yeah,
the
she's
cat,
kind of just like
the cat ran away after the smoke in the house.
Mhm.
So then she like goes and tries to look for
Find
her.
the cat, and that's what shows the whole house.
Yeah, we kind of go through the house.
She opens the door. She lets the door open, and I put, "Girl, don't
Don't do that.
do that."
Yeah, because then she's like, she's on the computer, and he comes in.
Yeah, he literally walks in and takes her phone.
Yeah, and he's just standing there.
He was gonna kill her.
Oh, that's right.
he was gonna
do
kill
that.
her.
Yeah.
But then she gets
And
a
then
voice
FaceTime.
FaceTime from somebody.
From her sister, I think.
Oh yeah, her sister.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then she's like signing to her and being like, "Hey, when are you gonna come back?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then she's like, "I almost called Craig," and she's like, "Girl, no,
No, don't do that.
don't do that." And then she was like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And she's
So
like, "That's probably
it's
the
the cat.
cat."
Oh, it's the cat. Don't worry.
It's bitch.
It's bitch, the cat. And yeah, and that's when I think that she's like, I gotta go. I'm gonna go find the cat. Whatever. We get her trying to look for the cat. Can't find him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird. Again, she's like clueless as to
Yeah.
what's going on, so she kind of just lets.
Which just makes it fester so much
yeah.
more because it takes so long.
Because we're like, where is this fucker? Like,
Right,
At
yeah.
least that's what I'm thinking. Like, what window is he looking in?
Yeah.
And then she goes back to work and she gets a message from her phone
Yeah.
to her computer. And it's pictures through the
Of
windows
her.
of her. Creepy.
Yes.
Creepy.
Mhm.
Love that reveal.
Yeah.
And then the last one is like clearly taken like a second ago.
When she realizes that somebody's taking pictures and sending it to her.
And it's
you can
from
see her,
the
like-
open fucking door.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows that, and we have that really slow just look over to the sliding door. No one's standing there that she can
Nope.
see, but it's just super slow, just like tracking shot of her POV tracking over to the door. And I thought there was gonna be a jump scare there too,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not.
Yeah.
He's just standing there.
I kept yelling. I was like, no
Yeah.
jump scare.
No.
No jump scare.
Which almost is like creepier that he's like
Yes.
not
Yes.
doing anything except just standing.
Staring.
And
there.
she's not running. So, like, no, it does.
And you're like,
Take its
he just
time.
stabbed her. Or stabbed her friend. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Huh.
But she quickly, runs to the sliding door and locks it. And we have
Mhm.
just like, they're face to face.
Yeah.
There's a couple times where in this movie where they are literally face to face, just
And they're
separated
just
by
like-
the glass.
By barely anything.
By barely anything. And she
Scary.
really seems like an animal trapped in an exhibit at this
Mhm.
point.
Mm-hmm. And
He-
he's just a lion pacing
Yeah.
around.
Mhm.
He does this slow, fucking casual walk around. She's trying to lock up every door, trying to think
Mhm.
of what to lock up. And he's just taking his time.
He's in no rush.
No rush.
No.
Nope.
Sorry.
And she finally thinks to call the police.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And right as she's calling, that's when he...
It's like
Power's
he
out.
knows. He
Mhm.
knows because he's done this before, as it's
Mhm.
revealed later. He knows what the next move is.
Yeah.
So he's patrolling the area to see. He's like, okay, how many doors? How many windows? Which one's your bedroom? You
Mhm.
know, like he can kind of lay it out too.
Yeah.
With her,
He's thinking about his plan.
with us.
Yeah.
She's thinking about her plan. And I think that that's a thing too. What I like about her character is that she has these moments of obviously freaking out of the
Mhm.
situation that
Yeah.
she's in. Duh, any of us would. And she lets herself break down and freak out
Mhm.
and cry, but very quickly she is able to turn into problem solving mode. Like,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
uses that writer's brain to start planning. She
Mhm.
Instead of writer's block, it's a very helpful.
It's very helpful.
yeah, like she's constantly. This movie is like her coming up with plans. Most of the time, the plans are foiled. But as soon as they're foiled, she comes up with a new plan
Mm-hmm.
right away. She's just constantly going.
Yeah.
And that voice is definitely telling her, it's like, if you stay here crying, you will
Right.
die.
Yeah. Well, and what I appreciated too is that whenever she was freaking out, the sound and the music was making us freak out.
Mhm.
And then when she had clarity, then it went quiet, and then it went back to regular ambient sound.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really cool to like put us into her mind.
Mm-hmm. So we have now started. Her first plan is almost a reason with him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because she goes over to her purse and gets the lipstick and writes on the sliding door, I think she says, won't tell, didn't see face, boyfriend coming soon.
Mhm.
Coming home or
Coming
something.
home.
Coming
Yeah.
home.
And it's a cool shot of like she writes it and then she like has
Lights it.
the flashlight
Mhm.
behind it. And he looks at it and does. This is the moment where we realize, oh shit,
Oh, this
there is
guy's
no reasoning with
fucked
this
up.
guy.
Yeah.
No.
He just takes off his mask and he's like, now you've seen it.
Now you saw my face.
You.
Oh, he doesn't even smile, woman.
Yeah, it's
Nope.
like, I am here to kill you.
Okay,
You
right.
have no other choice.
Right.
Well,
You know,
and
essentially.
it's interesting because for some reason, at least the first time I watched this movie, when he was taking off his mask, I expected to recognize him.
Mm.
Because you're like looking for a reason of like, oh, why is this person doing
Mhm.
this? Their identity must reveal some sort of motivation.
Yeah, right.
But we don't recognize him.
No.
He's just
I
a
thought it was going
random
to be
dude.
Craig.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I thought it was going to be
could've
Craig. I thought it would have been the neighbor because Sarah and Maddie definitely had a thing going on, even if it's an emotional one.
Mhm. Gal
So I
pals.
thought it was like her boyfriend at some
Mhm.
point.
Mm-hmm.
I was also looking for some recognition.
And that makes it scarier too, because we don't recognize
This
who
is
that
just a
is.
total stranger just going from house to house to house.
Yeah,
doing
and
this
it's
shit.
like this thing too of like Sarah's been having before this movie. She's having a horrible time. We don't even know what's happening at her
Mhm.
house, what he's been doing to her,
Yeah.
and why he's even there in the first place.
Mhm.
How did he even get there?
How did he
You
even
know?
get there? And that's the thing. He just like comes into these people's lives, and that is the scariest part about it because we get no answers to these
Right.
questions the entire movie.
Yeah.
Um,
And like, I mean, Sarah was obviously like booking it to get there. So like, clearly,
she was disheveled. She was
He's-
bloody already. Like he
Yeah.
had obviously been doing some sort of like torture, psychological shit to her too.
1000%.
He's been having a fucking night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long night for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so she realizes, holy shit, I cannot reason with this guy at all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she has a moment of, holy shit, I might die, but then let's quickly go back into planning mode.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out.
Well, and that's when it's also established that he finds out that she reads lips, so he can still tempt her or like taunt her, and then he tells her, "When you want to die, that's when I'll come inside."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh god. So that's always like looming in the back of your mind.
And
The
he's
rest of the show.
He's
of
like,
the
I can come in
movie.
whenever I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, he's just,
Oh, this guy is
he's a sick fuck.
he's doing something
He's a sick
to my
fuck.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too because he's like, and this kind of comes later when we see John. Like, he's not a physically big
No.
guy. He's not a.
No.
If you just saw him on the
He's
street,
average.
besides like the tattoo on his neck, he's not that threatening. He's
Mm-mm.
very plain, like that
Mhm.
mask, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of just a plain faced guy who wouldn't be otherwise threatening.
His
Yeah.
mask, weirdly enough, is probably what he's wearing in society. And then him taking it off is his
Mhm.
true
I see. You see myself.
psycho self.
Yep.
Yikes, yikes, yikes.
Yeah, I wonder what his day job is.
I was thinking about his background, like, where did he get this crossbow? Did he have this whole plan with the crossbow for years, and he's
I mean,
now
he's
executing it?
definitely a hunter.
Yeah.
He's definitely used that crossbow like before he started killing these
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely has background.
Well, and the knife that he uses too is a hunting knife.
It's a hunting knife,
Mhm.
so
So he
possibly.
he does have some sort of hunting something kind of back
Yeah.
because obviously he's good with that
Yeah.
Mhm.
crossbow. So he's probably been using it.
He
for
can
a
do it
while.
with. I mean, he has to put it down still, but like he's still kind of.
I mean, he's strong enough to be able to do that.
Yes.
And that's pretty tough, as we'll find out with
Yeah.
Maddie.
Yeah, but again, like we could talk all day about who we think he is,
I
but
know.
we'll never
It doesn't.
know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
But
matter.
You could just project so much onto him, and it's like, yeah, I could be any of those things.
Mhm.
Anything that freaks the fuck out of
Anything.
you could be anything.
Could be anything like that.
Because we
Whew.
have heard time and time again from actual, real, true crime stories that it sometimes there is no motive.
Mm-hmm.
Their
Mhm.
motive is just to kill.
They just have a desire.
It's just
And I will say, like, the writer and what the actor did didn't make it feel frustrating that there wasn't information.
oh no.
No.
It was just enough, and then taken away all
Mhm.
the amount that
Yeah.
you needed. and you could tell that the actor was like working with like information that we may not have or whatever, but like they did such a good job of like just creepy but not like shallow.
Yeah, like he knew, like
he
you're
knew
right,
exactly
that the actor knew his backstory. Like you just felt that, even though we don't know that. He just felt, yeah, you're right. He felt deep, like a deep character. Even though we don't even know his name.
No.
We don't even know
He's
the name.
the guy, the man.
Killer.
I put dude, I put motherfucker, I put like psycho.
Asshole.
Piece of
asshole.
Shit. Fucker.
I named them everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that our imaginations coloring it in just makes it so much scarier. So much scarier. Because then it just becomes what's scary to us individually. And everyone's going to project their own fears onto him.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I wrote down it's knife and hammer time.
Yo.
She's like, okay, if I can't reason with the guy, I probably am going to have to fight him. Or at least protect myself. She's not in fighting mode yet, but she's in protection mode. So she gets kitchen knife, and then we get hammer.
Hammer from under the sink.
Under the sink hammer.
Which then she spilled some stuff on the floor. Doesn't pick up. We don't do anything with that. But it's on the floor, and we know it.
We'll see you later.
And that's one thing that, watching this again, I really appreciated how, going back to how economical these shots were, because when she gets the hammer out, and then when another item spills out that comes into play later, it's there. It's all established, but you're not looking for the thing that came out as well as the hammer. You're looking for the hammer, but it's there.
And it was
and it's all in one shot.
It was a kitchen knife that we established right in the beginning in the kitchen scene. And then we go to a close-up of a wine cork, you know.
Holy shit,
and
I forgot about that.
So then it shows us everything that we're going to use in this movie. It's right there on the table.
But it's not in your face about it.
No.
You're not like, oh, this is coming in later. It's like, it just happens to be there too.
Then there's no shots. The only shots that we have that are repetitive when she like is looking at something to establish, you know, the area or whatever, is things that we're expecting to happen but then don't. So, and then like you get a shot of something else and it's like, right, he's right over there, and it's like, fuck, how many windows are in this fucking house? So many.
She gets her knife and her hammer, and I thought this was a good idea, was to barricade herself in her room.
Yeah.
Because that was the room that seemed like had the least amount of windows. It had like 2, and they were small windows.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, get away from the windows. He can come in at any time. He can smash them in, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool.
I kept waiting for a smash window. But like he told us in the beginning, I'm going to take my time.
He's not interested in coming in right now.
No.
Yep.
He's got plenty of work to do out here. Plenty of build-up. And she's like waiting along the wall, like under the window.
2 windows.
And we see just the shadow on the wall we think it's him knocking on,
just slowly,
just like tauntingly.
It's like, hey, I know where you are.
And she does like this like look up of who it is, and he's just using Sarah's body.
Like, yeah, at first you're like, oh my god, it's Sarah. No, because she's just
blood,
like,
just
and because you're like, there's no way she survived. And then you see him like pop up, like, hey,
yeah, it's this creepy like puppet mastery kind of thing. Ugh.
Yeah.
And that like, I mean, completely shocks her, because she didn't. This is when she realizes that Sarah's dead.
Right.
This is the first moment that she realizes that Sarah's dead.
Right.
Which I hadn't thought about that until we started talking about this. That she had no idea.
Right.
Because then she like backs out of the room and again allows herself to have this moment of completely breaking down. She like gets on her knees. She's crying, but then very quickly.
Back at it.
Back to planning. She pulls herself together, gets back up, and I mean, she's got to keep going. Writer's brain, getting the possibilities. And her new plan is she remembers Sarah had her phone.
There's a little insert shot when she put it behind her pocket.
Yes.
In her back pocket, yeah.
And that kind of like wakes her up out of this like breakdown. God, this was another anxiety-inducing moment. She gets her car keys because she needs to distract him.
Fuck yeah.
And she's like, inside is not close enough to the car for the alarm to start going. And Leslie, you like screamed out when she starts going for the handle, and you're like, "Oh God!
No, this dumb bitch! What are you doing?"
You're going outside.
I'm like, don't go outside. Don't go outside.
Because he literally, I mean, this whole time I'm thinking she's deaf. Like he could be right behind her.
Yes.
I know,
and she
man.
wouldn't know.
She would have no idea.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And she does a little quick crawl, and luckily it didn't take that far for her to actually start.
Oh yeah, because
Right.
she tried to do the alarm from inside the house, and it was just a tad bit far enough that she like needed to come outside, and I was just like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?"
No.
So yeah,
and then but it starts going, and he's luckily on the other side of the house,
complete other side,
and she sees him go to the car. What the fuck? And she quickly goes over to Sarah, opens that window that she was tapping on, leans out and trying to get the phone, and at least for me, I heard the car alarm stop.
Oh,
it was going for a little bit, and then I heard it stop, and I was like, "Get the fuck out of there!" But she doesn't know that,
right? Of course,
she can't hear that.
Oh, that's so true.
She has no idea.
You keep forgetting.
Exactly, like this is a real risky move that she's pulling.
Yeah, she is.
And then he comes around the corner, and luckily she scoots back into the window
just enough.
I mean, his fingers were there. Like,
yeah.
You can't play piano ever again.
Came to the piano, and then he's getting it back open, but hammer time, baby. Picks up the hammer. It was like into
stabs
his
it.
Yep.
Like the back of it is like stabbing into his forearm. Yeah.
Owie.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been able the way. So this is the only other logical thing that I had problems with. It's in here. You can't use your arm.
Yeah,
you can't use your arm.
He had a couple moments of like, this guy's kind of invincible. Like he took a good couple shots that, and so did she, that probably would put her down or him down permanently.
For sure.
They're both a little superhuman.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that though.
Yeah.
More blood.
I'm not.
I'm not okay with that. No superhuman.
No, I'm just
2.5
kidding. Yes, that
out of
was
5.
fine.
2.5. But you're completely right. That looks so
Oh
painful.
my god.
Fucking,
What I will say is like the hits in this movie, like they really land them in hard spots.
Yeah.
The sound, the effects look really good. So they're
the acting of it too, the physicalization of like having an arrow. Like I felt it, you know, and I felt
and she's
that.
like hitting the side of it because of the pain and like
She's like
hold on and like biting. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
And he takes the hit. She's watching him like kind of bandage himself up, and he's got this weird moment where he takes Sarah's earring and is like just like dangling it in front of her. And she's like, I think that's another moment where she's like watching him do this and kind of, I mean, she just hit him in a hard spot, but he quickly was able to recover and is now back to being this taunting asshole. I think that's a moment where she's like, this is going to take more.
Yeah, no, this guy, I mean, he clearly felt the pain.
Yeah.
But like, he does not feel.
He likes pain.
Seems like it.
That's why I was like, "Are you a fucking masochist, sadist? You fucking asshole."
It's gonna take more than a little hammer time to stop this guy.
Right.
Yikes.
And this is when she decides to go pretty much make a run for it. This is the run for it plan. She goes outside and goes under the porch and is kind of scoping him out, trying to figure out where he is. He ends up coming back to the sliding door and is walking around the porch. She's like feeling the vibrations of his.
I thought he was gonna try to like open it up because it was open.
Yeah, it was open.
Well, but it was locked beforehand, so why would it magically be, or why would it be unlocked at that point?
Because he still thinks she's in the house.
Right,
somewhere,
exactly.
Just hiding. And she waits for him to kind of like go around the corner, and she runs for it, but very quickly, arrow, like right past.
And that's when she finds out about the crossbow, right? Because we already know that he has a crossbow, but she doesn't.
It was on his back.
It was on his back.
Oh, that's fair.
From the beginning. So
but maybe not. Like,
I mean,
she could have been very like just out of it, you know. But we knew, and those are some crunchy ass fucking leaves.
Yeah.
Girl, you don't hear them, but we do, and That was not a good plan.
Not a good plan. She didn't get far at all.
No.
At all. Nope.
She gets nearly hit by an arrow and then immediately turns back around and goes back inside and then quickly closes the door before an arrow, it like barely missed.
Headshots. Those were headshots.
And she gets back inside and she goes upstairs.
Yes.
Which is
To the attic.
this goes kind of to the attic, kind of it's a really cool room up there.
Yeah.
Kind of it gave me like a watchtower kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just a small room that's up at the top, and she gets out onto the roof, which that roof looks like the loudest possible roof.
It's like a tin roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. I put through this like little scene. I was like, don't leave. And then I put, why? Why are you leaving?
Why?
On the roof? He has a fucking crossbow.
Got a crossbow.
A crossbow.
He can get you up there.
Oh, absolutely. Headshot.
And it's interesting the anxiety that we have about any little sound that's going on in this film. They've done a good job up to this point of making us really concerned about all these little sounds that are going to happen, which is great.
Very Quiet Place-esque.
Yes. It makes every single thing that happens that she does anxiety inducing because you're like, is that going to make a sound? Is he going to hear it? And they just play with that so well and don't overuse it either.
No.
They let that tension build long enough where you're like, God, careful. Her plan now is I think she has another one of those like fire alarm.
Or just a flashlight.
It's just a flashlight.
Just a really bright flashlight.
She throws it into the woods.
It seems very like what police have. It's industrial.
Yeah.
LED, just in case she needs to do like SOS, probably.
Did seem like that. And she really lands it perfectly for him to...
The lights come right back towards the house, so it looks like,
Good shot.
Yeah.
It's like,
Nice job, Maddie.
Somebody's coming.
And he goes off to figure out what that light is. I'm sorry, that just seemed too obvious to me.
I think it's a good, like, she was getting a little more desperate, so she's not totally thinking clearly. She's, like, kind of more on adrenaline at that point. I thought it was decent, but, like, it is a tin roof, so it's not great.
Well, and also, she kind of pays for it. Because she's trying to come down the side of the, like, with a vine wall, and then arrow right into the back of the leg.
Yep.
Oh.
Ouch.
Well, because, like, we were watching, it was like, oh, she's actually... Okay, she's getting off the roof. Oh, she's fine. Oh, bam. Yeah.
Oh.
Nope.
Yeah, right in the back. Right in the back of the leg.
Back of the leg, yeah.
Oh, that looked painful.
It did.
Yeah.
And
there's so much blood.
He's coming up. He wants to come up. And stupidly, right when he gets to the top of the roof, he puts the crossbow up first. The hand that's holding the crossbow first.
Yeah.
And she immediately grabs it and essentially just pushes him off.
Yeah.
So now she's got the crossbow. She goes back inside on the roof. She crawls back into that window, and he is in tow. Luckily, she gets back inside and closes the window before he can get her. But she's got the crossbow now.
Yeet her.
Yep.
And she goes to the bathroom to tend her wounds, which this is a pretty hard scene to watch.
God.
Ripped out, alcohol.
Oh.
She's got the robe drawstring in her mouth. She's pouring the alcohol, and she's like hitting the ground, trying to
You could feel it.
And she's not screaming, but you can tell. Yeah, we're screaming.
We're screaming for her.
Ugh.
Yeah. Again, it just makes it. It almost makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because you're just thinking about what sounds you would be making essentially in that moment.
Well, like, what's the word for like for when somebody gets a cut or like gets hurt, you can like feel it too, like sympathetic.
Sympathetic pain. Yeah.
Just sympathetic pain.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what we're experiencing.
Well, that is this whole movie. I feel like they really play on it.
True.
And then she's in the bathroom trying to pull that string, trying to pull that crossbow string, and she's just too weak
She's just lost a lot of blood.
Yeah, exactly. She's been through a lot already, and she just can't pull it. She can't load it.
Right.
No.
So she's just feeling
She's just
so
struggling.
defeated. Yeah.
And again, like I felt like I could feel it, like that string every time I
Oh.
pulled away, just on your fingers.
Yeah.
It's because it's like similar to like playing a guitar, right? Where it's like you just start like.
It's pretty rough string, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like it's and
rougher
like
than that.
you gotta pull it, and it's like pulling against you, and it's like cutting into you and stuff. Yeah.
And he has gloves on, so when he loads
Right.
it, he's got gloves. She doesn't. It's just her bare skin.
Right.
Like she's pulling on that string.
Oh my
That's-
lord.
And yeah, every time it pulls back, you're like, owie.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, John shows up at this moment.
And John is Sarah's boyfriend.
John is Sarah's boyfriend.
That stupid asshole.
Well, he's a jock.
I know.
He's a jack.
He's like,
You heard me.
The side. Dude is so big.
Yeah.
So
Right.
damn big.
Right.
He's looking for Sarah.
Yeah, he's looking for Sarah. He's like banging on the door and like trying to find Sarah.
He sees the note written in lipstick
Right.
on the sliding door.
Mhm.
Right.
He's starting to
Kind of like what's
get suspicious of what's
Very
going
suspicious.
on. And then honestly, I thought there was a pretty good move by the killer to just pretend to be a cop.
on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Because
it looked like a.
yeah, because he's shining the light in his eyes, so you can't really see
kind of
him.
blinding him.
Be like, hey, get out, get down. Let me see your hands.
Gaslighting him?
Well, it's just a matter of like,
no, not.
like kind of blinding him so that like even if he does look at him in the dark and it takes a while for his eyes to adjust.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can't really see him. He can't really see that he's not in uniform.
Right.
Where's his badge?
Right. You can kind of see like a little bit of his tattoo, and he's
Yeah.
like, it's like a huge ass neck tattoo. So
It's like feathers.
yeah,
Why?
I don't know.
And he's like, you can tell through this scene, John is starting to get suspicious. He knows
Starting to
something's weird.
piece something together. Yeah.
He knows something's. He knew that something was off with the situation from the start.
Mm-hmm.
But as the scene goes on, he starts to put the pieces together as to, wait a second, this guy is not a cop.
Yeah.
Where's his uniform? Where's his badge?
Right.
Did you call somebody?
Sarah's ear. He has Sarah's earring right next to him. Or
Oh yeah,
something.
he gives him, cause like he says, "Oh yeah, the killer is inside, or something happened. Oh, the girl slept." It's like a lot of like contradicting little details. And then he like, the killer took my radio, my phone, my personal life like iPhone,
My gun.
my gun,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
wallet. So it's like,
Yeah.
All these things are mounting, and he like the Sarah's earring falls out of his pocket, and that's definitely
Yeah.
for John like
Huh.
this.
This is not adding up right.
the one detail that I really did like about this scene is the fact that when the killer's coming around the corner addressing himself as the cop, he like asks for his wallet, but there's a little bit of I saw a little bit of fear in the killer, because he's like, okay, not only is this like a muscular kind of dude, but also, was she not lying about her boyfriend coming home?
Mhm.
So he didn't know whether it was a boyfriend who
Mhm.
might be able to like fight a little bit more for his girlfriend, or, as he found out, is it the neighbor
Mhm.
whose girlfriend's dead? And then I think that gave him like a little bit of a up after that. He's
Mm.
like, oh, you're the neighbor from...
Yeah.
From
So,
before.
yeah.
He's trying to analyze him and trying to figure out how he's going to defeat this guy.
Defeat him.
Because he knows that if he just straight up attacks him, he's not going to be able to win in that fight.
Yeah,
at all.
what
Yeah.
story can you like weave together in this few seconds?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And they also do cut back to Maddie, who's still trying to get that crossbow string, and she obviously can't hear
Just
anything.
can't hear. Yeah.
And
It's like,
it's like, oh no, Maddie,
just go.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like both the killer and John are trying to figure out what they're going to do at the same time.
It's like a chess match.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're both trying to analyze each other without giving anything away
Mm-hmm.
I like that
to
metaphor.
each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, John's play is, I think there's a spare key under the pot
Yeah.
down there. And he's like, oh, well, that would be super helpful, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of gets the killer. You see John holding a rock behind his back. You can tell what his plan is. He wants
Yeah.
the killer to go down and as soon as he looks for that key, he's gonna hit him in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And then Maddie
sees John and like starts banging on the door, and
he's like,
another
huh?
little
What?
jump scare.
yeah, and then
Takes that moment, perfect moment to just
I think.
knife through the jugular,
Ooh.
and you're just like, oh no.
I think at this point I had already taken my sweater off again and just wrapped it around my face.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, here we go again. We're gonna have like a knife just.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like super deep or anything. It was just like enough in like the right spots.
Which is a hunter move. Like he
Yeah.
knows.
He knew where to go.
He knows where to
pressure
kill. He
points and
knows where, like, you know,
Yeah,
he
definitely.
can make the fast kill.
And he made a smart kill too, because in this scene while John is bleeding out, he says, "You're just so damn big. I would have never won in that fight, man.
Mhm.
Like I had to wait for my opportunity to get you in the right spot."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, John goes down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and meanwhile, like John's also like mouthing to Maddie, "Run, run, run," and obviously she can't because she
got her leg.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And she has this moment where she goes to the side door, looks out, and she's like, "All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna run for it." She runs out the window, or runs out, and the killer just tackles her from behind and just smashes her head in with this
Mhm.
big rock. I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" He just
that's it.
killed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was it. That was the movie. I fully expected it to just kind of end there.
No, same here. I was shouting things out.
Yelling profanities.
Yes, I was like, you
You
motherfucker.
motherfucker.
I was like, is this really it? Is this really it? Is that how we're gonna end this story?
Mhm.
It's about him and not her.
Yep. But luckily, it was
That's
that
just the
writer's
writer's
brain.
mind.
Yeah.
She thought of that possibility. We realized that was just one of the possibilities, that if she would have run, that's what would have happened. We have this scene where we really get her writer's brain going through every single possibility
Mhm.
of, you can either hide, you can run, or you can like wait or something.
Yeah,
It's like
and you'll
Bleed
just
it out,
bleed
but
out,
you're gonna
yeah.
bleed out.
and every possibility ends in her dying. And we have this like interesting scene where she's talking to herself.
Right.
We have two Maddies in the shot,
Mhm.
and she's talking herself through these possibilities,
Mhm.
and comes to the conclusion that there's only one way to get out of this. Gotta
Yeah.
kill him.
Gotta
Yeah.
kill him.
Which all the like I was thinking about it when I was watching it the second time, and now I understand it a little bit more. But at first I was watching and I was like, it took you that long to decide to kill him? But it's like what
Yeah.
we talked about, like the whole like
She doesn't want to kill him.
No.
She's not a killer.
No.
She maybe does like killing things in her books and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but she's not a killer. She's not
No.
an actual.
Mm-hmm.
But ooh, actually, I'm thinking. So remember how we talked about the mom's voice was what kept playing in her mind with the writer's mind
Mhm.
that kept holding her back, and she couldn't make a decision. Now she's telling herself stuff in her voice, and then that's what she's owning. So now she's owning the fact that now she has to kill her. So
Mhm.
it's like
She's finally
that's why.
listening to herself.
To herself.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. I
Now I
like
understand
that.
that a little more.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that would be stronger. That is stronger than having like her fake mother. Be
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, because of this,
Mm.
because of this scenario that we played, and as the audience, having that be a truth, and then realizing that it wasn't, it then for the remainder of the movie was expecting another thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh well,
What is
this
real?
isn't real, and then it was, and I was like, oh shit.
Mhm.
I was like, well, the next one isn't gonna be real, and it was, and I was like, oh my god. So that's why at the end,
You still feel unsettled because
I
you're like,
do.
was this just
I-
was this just a possibility, or did this really happen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the whole time I was like expecting something.
It's a nice. I mean, they're just building this anxiety in so many ways
Yeah.
through this movie. You're on edge the entire time.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Really, the
definitely.
whole time.
Yep.
We get this little fucking cutaway of the killer enjoying. He like finds the cigarettes in John's
Mhm.
coat, and And he like goes to the car, he gets the tire iron, he lights up the cigarette. And he's like talking to John's dead body about
Yeah.
maybe I should just let her bleed out a little more. That's a good idea.
But also when he finds the cigarettes, he's like, "Oh, John, don't you know these can kill you?
You motherfucker.
I'm gonna strangle you.
Yeah, right.
Before Maddie, god damn it.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'll just wait it out a little bit. Let her bleed it out. Then I'll go in there and kill her.
Right.
Yeah. And then Bitch comes up.
Yeah.
Bitch shows up, and I'm like, oh, God.
Oh, here we go.
We've seen this man do
Fucking
some
hell.
horrible, horrible things. What's he going to do to this cat?
And
Right.
this cat just comes over and he's like, "Hey, what's up?"
Hi. Cute kitten. Hi, kitten.
You're going to see your mom very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow to the back of, he gets an arrow, I think, to his shoulder.
I think it's
To his
like,
shoulder.
Yeah.
isn't that there? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
whichever
he
one.
gets an arrow somewhere.
He was like this and it was just...
Yeah.
And Maddie's, apparently she's a good
She-
shot.
Yeah.
Apparently
Yeah.
she's a real good, because she's standing on the porch, like, fuck you, motherfucker.
But her voice told her it has to be a headshot.
Mhm.
It has to be a
It
good
it
shot.
has to be a good shot because you only have that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Only got that one.
I mean, it's a powerful thing. So she managed to at least get something up here.
Yes, she did hit him. Was not a headshot though.
No.
Right.
And
Or a
then-
neck shot.
Or a neck shot. That would have been nice. That would have been nice.
But, you know, this is bigger than this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And oh god, this is another tough one.
Oh, yeah.
So she then runs back inside, and I can't remember what she was reaching for.
For another one of those arrows.
Oh,
Because
okay.
she shot the one at him, and then she dropped one of them, I think.
Yeah.
So that was the only one that she had left, so she had to get it back as if she was going to, like, get him again.
Yeah.
Almost like this Indiana Jones move,
Mhm.
trying to get the hat. But right as she's like pulling her hand in, sliding door on the hand.
Yeah. And then he just stomps the shit out of her hand.
Oh.
And then her fingers are, like, all mangled, and, like...
Oh.
And it was good practical effects, I'll tell you.
Great practical effect for
It
sure.
was.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Uh,
he takes his time with it because he like stomps it and then he like turns his foot on her
Yeah.
hand.
You can
like,
hear more bones breaking.
And
Ah.
we're all like,
Ah, my
And I mean,
hand.
like for all of us, our hands are incredibly important, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But for her, as a deaf
As a-
mute person,
And as
that
a
is
writer.
like, and as a writer, yeah, that is like so important to her, even more important to her. This is her way to communicate. This is her way to write. This is her way to like do what she loves. And he just stomped that out, literally.
Literally.
Oh God, it was and that hand for the rest of the time, these fucking fingers like going in different directions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Rough
yeah,
to
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking rough to see.
Ow! And it's like her other leg is the one that's fucked up, and then now it's her other, like the opposite hand.
Mm-hmm.
And she has the moment where she's on the ground just crying and screaming, but then sucks it up,
Yeah.
and she just stands up and looks at him and takes her own blood and writes another message on the
She
the
had
window.
to stoop down to his level
Mhm.
Yeah.
of like, all right,
Or like, you can't affect me.
no,
You're not taunting me as much as you think.
It was a great moment of she writes
So
the
good.
message, do it, and then she bangs on the glass like he did in the
Mhm.
beginning. Like, now you're the animal that's trapped. I'm not trapped in here anymore. Come on in, bitch. You're in my house.
Yeah.
yep,
It was this great
my house,
turn.
my rules.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, after having your hand stamped
Dude.
out like that. whew.
Yeah,
And then that's when the guy's like, all right, well, I'm fucking coming in. And he just, like, trying to hit this, like, really tough glass, apparently.
Yeah.
While
While she's writing essentially like a death note.
It's basically a, like, I love you, Mom, Dad, and Max, or whatever.
Mhm.
Like,
he's 5'9".
He's
green
5'9", this
eyes,
is the guy.
tattoo.
I went down, fighting. Like, don't worry, I wasn't a victim.
Well,
Yeah.
victim, yes, but
Well, okay, yes. But, like,
a bad bitch.
I didn't just, like, let it
and
happen.
it roll over.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
fought back.
It's
Yeah, it was-
because yes, like, you would have to, as parents who have a mute and deaf person, might be always concerned, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So then, like, you are just playing a scenario in your mind, being like, okay, was she just tortured this whole time?
She
Because
was
it
just helpless.
appeared to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she's helpless, so you wouldn't think to say that she fought.
Yeah, but she
she
wants
was
to make
like,
it clear.
I want you to know that I did it.
Yeah, I'm digging deep. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it was a really like powerful, I thought, shot and
Yeah.
scene where he's just in the background smashing on the window, and he's coming in, and she's just like this. It's like puts you in that situation of you're gonna die. Like, what is the last things that you say when you're gonna die? Nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went down fighting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she goes up to the bathroom for essentially like barricades herself in there. She just got the knife to the door and she's just waiting for him. And I think she's kind of just like in this almost like last stand mode.
Yeah, she's losing a lot of blood. She's kind of like losing it a little bit.
Camera's going out of focus.
Which is the only fucking window we never got to see, so therefore we didn't know that it was there.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the fucking roof.
Yep.
It was like a skylight, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes. It's a very creepy shot of her looking at the door, and you just see the glass breaking behind her. Can't hear anything. She can't hear anything. She doesn't know that he's there, and you see his legs come in, and he just this sick fuck just like takes his time, comes real close to her.
There. Yeah.
And he can't help himself but say these like last words because he's
getting off on this.
He's getting off on it. He loves it.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what fucks him over because his little laugh.
His vibrations, everything.
And she feels his little breath on the back and she does that dope. He's like coming at her. She like does like a dodge and then stabs him. I think like in the knee.
In the knee, like in between kneecap and
But the thing is, like, I can feel your vibrations here, and you're not even touching the table. She had her back against the tub. He came in, so she heard or like felt the glass, felt his steps in, and then felt like his breath right there. Ooh, yikes!
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, how did she see him? Was there a mirror around? And I'm like, no. It was like,
well, she's facing the door, so there's no mirror on the door. Yeah.
It was his psychopathic rant that ultimately got him.
Yep. His arrogance. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yep. It really was. And she goes back down to the kitchen, and this is another moment where she's like really just feeling it. She feels like she's like really fading. And but she finds the bee killer.
But I think she also like plays it up too to get him like closer. And then that's when she goes for it.
Yeah, she gets the bee killer in his eyes.
Oh God, yeah.
What a scream! Because
powerful.
She was over here and it was like beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
nice scream.
You can't really spray wasp spray at somebody.
Yeah, don't do that.
And as an actor, yeah. I would be a little worried about that if they're like, let's really do wasp spray, bro.
Yeah. But that
a method.
Yo, a method, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
Do it.
And Daniel Day-Lewis would do it.
She does this like combo move of like wasp killer and then super loud fire alarm.
Yeah, the one at the beginning.
The lights. Yeah.
And then we have this final brawl. The two of them, hands on hands.
And he's like choking her out. Like she's like flashing back to her family and like life is flashing, and then like, her pulse is like going down, and you hear it. And
last attempts.
And then she sees the corkscrew because everything else is out of reach, and then she goes for it.
Right there, right where it hurts.
Yeah, it goes like through one end, you see it come out the other end.
I didn't see it.
What a cool effect.
Yeah. And it pulls out and like sprays coming on both sides.
That's where your arteries, your main
arteries
are
for
at.
sure.
She got
both of them.
She got
nailed it.
Nailed it. And there's this interest. So killer gone. Killer dead.
He's dead.
Killer dead.
Yay! Good job, Maddie.
And then there's this like interesting moment where did he help her get like her vocal cords working again? Because she's like there's like noise a little bit coming out of her throat.
Because didn't he say that like that's what got him to like do a little laugh? Because he was like, I bet I can make you scream.
Yeah.
I can make you scream.
He just wanted to hear her scream.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Ew. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that like, I'm gonna find the spot that makes you scream, or some creepy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Definitely found mine.
Yeah. But it almost felt, it seemed like he helped her a little bit, maybe get her vocal cords working or something.
She found her
what
voice.
cost?
She found her voice.
Literally and figuratively with the writing.
And then we get cutaway of Sarah from Next Door Dead, cutaway of John from Next Door Dead, and then the shot of the house, and she's walking out of the house, and she sits on the porch.
She also calls 911 on her phone that she gets back. Yeah.
Yes, she calls 911. And then she goes and sits on the porch and just sits with bitch and waits for the police
Just
to
waits
come.
for the police. And we were watching it, and we're like, as we were watching it, we were saying like, I wouldn't keep my back to the. I don't like. I know he's dead, but you don't know for sure, man. Like you gotta make sure he's dead before you put your back to the house, because
and they kept shooting her from behind.
Yeah.
So I was like, God, is like someone watching her from back there?
Right.
I mean, yeah. Again, we know the killer's dead. We just saw him die. But this movie has done such a good job of raising our anxiety the entire time that, of course, we're thinking that. Of course, we're thinking he's right behind her. I would never turn my back to even the dead killer. No way.
Right.
No.
Right.
Also, is this true? Was it?
Is it just one of her scenarios that she was playing out?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think she's fine.
I think she made it. I have to live with that.
I mean,
I'm
absolutely.
gonna live with that was the ending possibility.
The totem.
That was the best ending.
Spinning. Forever.
Yeah, that's the Inception totem.
It wobbled.
It wobbled.
And that was Hush. You made it, Maddie.
Yay, Maddie.
Yay, Maddie.
Or did you?
All right, cool. Hush. So I think it's time that we get to some Smash Pumpkin ratings.
Yes. This is out of 5, right?
Out of 5, and you can feel free to go down to like 0.1, 0.2 if you need to.
Okay.
But we'll start with you, Timothy. What do you think about Hush 2016?
Hush 2016, I would give it a 4.6.
Wow.
I thought it was great, and it was very lean.
Lean cuisine.
Lean cuisine, yeah. The only thing that I would take off some, and we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of, why the fuck was she living by herself? Like, I get that it's like, I feel like we made a lot of assumptions versus actually know exactly why. Like, was it the breakup that just happened a few months ago and she's still there and like doing her own writer's retreat? Is she like, whatever? Or like, she just really wants to get away from everybody. It wasn't super clear. Everything else, though, was super clear. It was fucked up in the right parts. It was like, the formula of she's going to try this, it failed. She's going to try this, it failed. She's going to try this, it failed. It never got tired. You always thought, like, okay, that's going to advance to something else. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, damn it. Back to square one. Okay. It never got boring.
Yeah.
At all.
Kept you guessing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to rate it a 3.7.
3.7.
I did like it, but it ain't my cup of tea, so that's why I'm rating it like that. But the highlights of the movie for me was just the camera work. I really like the mouse and cat just like aspect of it, and then to include a camera capturing stuff from within and outside, and the way that they did such a good job to map out the house. I don't think that's such an easy thing to do without overfilling it with like filler things. So I think they did really good job at setting that up. I mean, as much as I hated the stabbing, I think they did a really good job with the practical effects. And I think just the whole like storyline of having somebody who does have these disabilities, but yet, like, at the end, she was able to use everything to be everything that she's had to learn to be able to surpass and
Fucking win.
kill this motherfucker.
Survive.
Yeah, to survive. And also,
Surprise, motherfucker.
thank you for not killing the cat.
Thank
That
you.
wouldn't
Yeah, that's true.
have-
Thank you.
Thank you.
That wouldn't have done anything to the storyline.
No, we
besides
already know
maybe-
he's fucked up. We don't need to see him
Yeah.
really do
She's
that.
already
Mhm.
defeated, so thank
Yeah.
you for making the cat just be. And really, we didn't use the cat as an omen. Like, not in
No.
a typical way.
No.
She
sure.
was just going about, just doing her thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure. She was
Established little things
Bitch.
here and there. Fucking
Mhm.
bitch.
bitch.
Bitch, you're gorgeous.
Bitch. I think that this movie is very tight. Tight script. Hour 20 minutes, perfectly length, and I think that they do a great job of throwing all the information that we need for the whole movie in there, without us even realizing. And I think it's what I always talk about is intentional filmmaking.
Mhm.
This is full of it.
Oh,
Yes.
also that, too.
Yeah, it's
yes.
incredible. The amount of information that Mike Flanagan's able to get across, without us even know that he's telling us information.
Yeah.
Like the house layout, like the motivations of these characters. It's
Well
it's
written.
all laid out for us to pick up these little breadcrumbs later.
Mhm.
You know
And
what?
It's an interesting second watch too,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
knowing what happens at the end, you're like, oh shit, wow, they showed you every single fucking thing that she used,
Mhm.
and it makes sense. They placed it in places, and I think the only time that I felt was a little forced, and it wasn't even that forced because it kind of goes back to the motivations of the killer, is that earring moment. Like him taking off the earring and kind of showing it, and then that comes back later.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I get it. Like it seems a tiny bit forced,
Yeah.
but I can root that in the fucked upness of the character. He's
Yes.
getting off on taking these totems, which is another like very serial killer-y thing to do.
Mhm.
So even that moment, I
Because he took
Can explain
John's watch as well.
that's a
That's
good
true.
point.
Yeah.
They do use it again.
Mhm.
So yeah, again, like there's an explanation for almost every moment in this
Mhm.
movie, and they leave the information that would be maybe superfluous out, which I
Yes.
like,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
because it causes us to have this conversation
Exactly.
for so long.
Mhm.
And even if you don't like it, it's still a pretty well done movie.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that this directing knew the writer like so well.
they
It's like
knew.
they
Yeah.
they shared the same mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they shared the same mind, and they were also married.
Oh yeah, Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel. They're married.
They're married.
They're married, and they
Yeah.
wrote this together. I don't know why it didn't say on the writing credits. It didn't say her, but in the movie it gave her credit.
It did.
Because she's a woman.
she's a woman.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
written by
Mhm.
Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel.
So yeah, so it was
It was
you
great,
could
and
tell.
she, I thought too, like performance wise,
Yeah.
she was
she
fantastic.
was.
She
She
was
was.
great, and she's not deaf and mute, so she had to
No.
learn sign language, or maybe she already knew, but she had to. She can talk,
Mhm.
and hear, and the killer was great too.
yeah.
Mhm.
He was. I never felt like over dramatic. You can get
Mhm.
like these evil characters that are like super indulging in it, and he was, but it never felt overdone.
No.
He was terrifying in
Yes.
that way.
yeah.
Where he was so settled in
He
it.
was so
Mhm.
settled, and you know the moments where like you can have like a killer just like licking their lips, and you're like, oh
Mm.
shit, that's
Twisting your
creepy.
mustache.
But the like he would get to moments where he like could feel like we're gonna get that scene, but we don't, and it's just like barely there.
Yeah.
and that
Mhm.
was that
It's
was
enough.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is hard to accomplish.
Yeah, it
That
is.
scene where he's talking to dead John is the closest I think we get to him being like this really evil villain character talking to his dead victim.
Mhm.
But even then, it didn't feel forced.
Right.
It didn't feel unnatural.
It wasn't jarring having a dialogue scene after not really having a lot of dialogue
Mm-hmm.
in the movie at all. It was
Mhm.
very seamless.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
I'm going to give this movie. I'm going to also give this movie a 4.6. I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
there's very little to fault it on, and it was a fun ride.
Yeah.
Well, fun, you know.
As
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
as you can.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, it's a script. It's a movie.
Yeah. It's entertainment.
It is fictional.
It's a story.
It's a story.
It's just another story.
It's true.
Here on the Deadlights
Just
pod.
like the Bible.
Oi.
Ooh.
Oi.
Sorry, Mom,
We just
Dad.
lost a lot of Christian
Our viewers just plummeted.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim, for joining us with
Yeah.
Hush.
Thanks for having
And
me.
I think it's time that we get to maybe the most exciting part
Oh.
of the podcast.
Oh,
Let's see what we're watching next week.
Yeah.
So
do I get to pick?
You get to pick. Really dig deep in there.
Dig deep like
Pick a good one.
Maddie did.
Dig deep.
Yeah.
The writer's brain. What are all the possibilities?
Du-du-du-du.
So
That's
read the log line first and then the title.
Oh, so are you going to guess what it is?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty easy.
I've
but-
never guessed it.
A young couple trying for a baby move into an aging, ornate apartment building on Central Park West, but find themselves surrounded by peculiar neighbors.
Oh, I know.
Strangers?
Rosemary's Baby.
Ding, 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 ding.
This
By
is
the
classic.
yeah.
Never seen it.
Oh, cool.
I actually haven't either.
Ooh,
Sarah.
Rosemary's Baby. Thank you again, Tim,
Yeah, thank you for having
for,
me.
for coming.
Yay.
Please plug yourself.
Yes. So I'm Tim Ashby. I'm an actor here in Chicago. I got a brand new website. It is tim-ashby.com.
Gorgeous.
Tim
If you didn't have
Ashby.
enough of this gorgeous face,
I
go
mean-
to his gorgeous website.
Just wait. Just wait till you see that
And we will
website.
see a lot of my face. So.
Yes.
That's what we want.
As we should.
That's what we want.
You know, Color Me Leslie, Instagram.
Hell yeah. And you know, beep beep Richie T,
Beep, beep, beep.
Instagram. Also check us out on the Deadlights Pod
Yes.
and Playground Social, which is the
Yes.
studio that we are recording this at.
Ooh.
But until next
Next
time,
time.
let's get spooky, y'all.
Ooh.
I'm coming into your house, baby.
Oh, you can't hear me.
What?
I.
What?
You can't hear me.